Awesome, guys. So let's get started. Looks like we have the majority of folks on the call already. So welcome, everyone. First and foremost, Happy New Year. Happy 2021. I hope you all were able to enjoy some time with your family, or if not, just much needed time off during the holiday season. So, obviously right now it's a very unusual time for us. So hopefully we can brighten your spirits and give you some things to look forward to for this year's tour. So, as many of you know, our mission is to prevent and cure diabetes and improve the lives of all people affected by diabetes. And we actually have the entire Chicago team here on our call, and a few friends as well too. So the president of the ELC, Bill Nedza, and owner of BFF Bikes in Bucktown, Jillian Forsyth. So welcome them and welcome everyone. I think I have to add someone in. One moment, please. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to kick it over to Amanda to share what our virtual tour will be this year, and what it will look like. And then in a little while, she'll introduce Jillian and Bill, and we'll get started. So Amanda, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Kayla. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's great to see your faces in the new year. We've made it through 2020. We're excited for 2021. I just want to take a moment and just kind of introduce our tour. I know a lot of you are friends and past participants, so I won't get into too many details of what tour is because you all know it very, very well. But anyway, so as you guys know, Tour 2021 is going to be virtual again for this year, and we're excited to kind of, now that we have been able to plan it a little bit more than we were for 2020, it's going to be a lot more robust, which I'll get into later, but we're excited about some of these updates and changes to bring you some exciting news for 2021 for our tour. So with that, I just want to make sure that I mention that everything that we do for tour, you guys know, goes to our mission. So we're fundraising dollars for life-changing research, life-improving resources and information, and we do it for the mission. So we love tour, we love to ride, we love everything that we do, but we don't want to lose sight for what we're doing it for. So without further ado, I want to kick it over to Jillian Forsyth, who is the owner of BFF Bikes and a tour friend of ours for a long time, a type 1 diabetic, and a great person. So Jillian, I want to kick it to you. Give us some updates on what are your tips and tricks for tour as a cyclist and as a diabetic, and what insight can you give the group here?
Yeah, it sounds like we have an experienced group. So, I'll try not to go into too much detail, but everybody can learn off of each other, I guess. I am sitting here in our store in Bucktown. I'm actually in the bathroom because there's no place for me to, quiet place for me to go. Probably didn't need to know that, but yeah, I've been type 1 diabetic for 23 years, and over that time, I've been a cyclist, been an Ironman, triathlon, marathon runner. I've learned about the benefits of, or learned how to coexist with exercise and diabetes. Although, as everybody knows, it's never perfect and there's always things to learn. So just with that, I have a few things that I do that might, or, information that I would like to, share with you guys. So one of my first things I do is I make sure that I have a little kit that's ready to go. Quick grab and go nutrition and fast acting sugar supply. That way, if that way if I have to go out, if I only have a short time for a quick ride outside, I can just grab it really quickly. And that to me is like the first and foremost thing that I need. And when I go out and ride is that nutrition and something to raise my blood sugar just in case. So, and if you use it during your ride, make sure you replenish it when you get back. And then if you also have like an old tester, you can throw that in there too, if you feel more comfortable having that along with you. then also, you know, if you are going out for a little bit of a longer ride, make sure somebody knows where you're going and what route you're taking, and just, you know, how long you're expected to be gone for. That way, at least if something, God forbid, happens, you know, they know kind of an area of where to look for you, or where you might be. The other thing is, which a lot of people are afraid of, even cyclists that have been cycling for a long time, is fixing your own flat. I really encourage people to have their own fix-a-flat kit with them, whether it be in their bag, on their back, or on their bike as a seat bag underneath their seat. That should include tire levers, a spare tube, a CO2 cartridge, and a nozzle for the CO2 cartridge, pump, and tube repair kit, and a $20 bill. That's like kind of the minimum. And if those are things that you don't know what they are, and you're riding for longer than, you know, 20 miles, you should learn what they are. You can attend one of our Fix-a-Flat clinics, or you can Google, you know, Fix-a-Flat on YouTube, and you can learn how to do it, and practice while you don't need it. So if you're sitting in your living room and you have like some time, or you're watching television, just practice fixing your flat. I can't say enough. And being a part of this bike shop now, which is very new to me, I have learned how to fix a flat very quickly, and it's amazing how quickly you can do it when you do it very often. So it just gives you peace of mind when you're out there, that you know what you're doing. Did I put that twice? Fix a flat. Yeah, so I just went through both of those points at the same time. Okay. Then, you know, comfort on your bike. So, you know, when someone says, you know, I can't ride for 30 miles, it's too uncomfortable, or 20 miles, it's too uncomfortable, then there are things that you can do to fix that. You know, you can get a new seat, you can get a proper fit. There are rules of thumb on bike fit, and I've put them here. So when you stand over your bike, the top tube, which is the tube between the seat and the handlebars, you should have about a 1 inch between the top of your leg and the top tube. And that would, if you're looking for a bike, or if you're seeing if your bike is a good fit for you, that's a good rule of thumb when you're standing over it. Then when you're on the seat, you should be pretty close to being on your tippy toes, and that way you'll have good leg extension when you're at the bottom of each pedal stroke. And then the reach, when you're reaching for your handlebars, you know, if you're looking down, the handlebar post should be in line with the hub of your front tire. And then you'll know like the extension is good. And there are things that you can get for your bike that makes it more comfortable. You can get a stem that is longer or shorter. So don't be uncomfortable. Don't have, you know, sore backs, or, you know, things like that. There are things that you can do to definitely make that better. And also, if you are looking for a new bike, or if you're shopping, it's easier to make a bike bigger than it is smaller. So if you're kind of on the edge between a small and a medium, you might want to err on the side of small, because like I said, you can always raise the seat, or put a longer stem on the front. Clothing, you know, some people have the thought that, you know, only really good bikers can wear bike shorts and jerseys and things like that, but really, you know, those things were made for biking, and they're made to make you feel comfortable on the bike. And there's a reason why the Tour de France people wear, you know, bike shorts, and they have a chamois, and it's to make you feel more comfortable. And if you're not comfortable wearing the tight shorts, you can always throw a pair of shorts on over your bike shorts. But definitely don't discount the clothing that you wear while you're riding, and also depending on how long you're riding for. And in case anybody has the burning question about whether or not you wear underwear underneath your bike shorts, do not wear your underwear under your bike shorts. That will cause a lot of chafing. And you laugh, but a lot of people are not sure about that. So I have a lot of things to offer and a lot of other points that I can provide, but I'll just leave it at that for now. But I hope everybody here, and I think it sounds like it, has fun on their bike, and smiles while they're outside and smiles while they're training, and just don't expect a lot from yourself. Just build up over time, and it's winter, so a lot of people can't get outside, so just if you have an indoor trainer, that's it's good to keep some fitness up on the bike. Otherwise, when it gets to be a little bit warmer weather, just gradually build up some endurance and some mileage on your bike. Don't go out and ride 50 miles just without having done it in a few months. So yeah, I think that's all I have. Obviously at the end, if you have any questions, I can answer any questions you might have. So
awesome. Thank you, Jillian. All right, anybody, I want to open the floor to who has questions for Jillian at the moment. Anything bike related that she covered or that she didn't cover that you are curious to know the answer to?
I have a question. This is Dan here. Hi, Jillian. Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I also live with type 1. How do you balance a long ride with, you need energy, right? But when I exercise, I feel like, unfortunately, I kind of go low actually because I have too much insulin stored up. But I feel like when you're going on a long bike ride, you need the carbs, right? The energy.
Yes.
So how do you balance, I guess, what you eat? And then the other question would be, how do you take your insulin, right? Do you dose it before, during, and after? I'm curious on that.
Yeah, if it's a long ride and I know I'm going to be eating like anywhere from 30 to 60 grams of carbs an hour, which if you're going out for longer than 2.5 hours, let's say, you really should be eating that much. I've actually had to increase the amount of insulin sometimes I take, but I definitely don't take, I don't bolus for the food I'm taking. It's just the basal, and I also make sure that I don't have any insulin on board when I start
Right.
off. Yeah, that's. But yeah, if you definitely have to eat while you're riding on longer rides, and yeah, sometimes it can, if your heart rate isn't up and you're not burning through the blood sugar, and it's going into your blood sugar, you will sometimes your blood sugar will rise because you are eating quite a bit,
Right.
So it's really just trial and error. I've kind of gone where I've kind of practiced enough and trained enough where I don't need as many carbs while I'm riding for a longer ride. But that's really a choice thing. You can certainly, do what's best for you. I don't know if that helps.
No, it did. And I have your contact information now, so I'm sure I'll be asking you further questions offline.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely get in touch with me, and I'm here as a resource for everybody. So
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
This is John. A question.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of people carbo load before, like the night before, week before events like this. What do you have to keep in mind about that in relation to diabetes, and what you should actually do in that consideration?
Yeah, if you, I'm kind of the mind that don't do anything different than what you would normally do on a training ride. So if taking a little more carb at night works for you, then then just make sure you adjust your insulin for that. But I carb loading before the night before. You might want to do a lunch versus a dinner, and take a smaller dinner. So a larger lunch, smaller dinner. If you're doing a big event next day, that's probably the best way to go.
Say, I just wanted to add, it's Lori. Am I unmuted? Yes. So I'm not diabetic, so I can't speak to that. But I have a really low tolerance for getting hungry, especially when I'm exercising.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I am preparing for one of these longer rides, then Carlos is going to laugh. I like to eat farro, which is a high carbohydrate, and it's also high protein, high fiber grain. It's like a whole grain. And I like put a poached egg on top of it, throw a little salsa on the side, and away and that stuff is like such a low glycemic index that it's gonna, I don't think it'd spike up your blood sugar too much. But it's just like slowly digestible, and it just keeps me going for hours.
We've come to love it. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, farro's great.
Yeah, so yeah, that's been like a saving grace for me to get through, a couple hour, 3-4 hour rides and stuff. So anyways, that's all.
Could you also talk about your perspective on what you should carry on your body versus on your bike for convenience versus comfort?
Yeah, I mean, I like the top tube bags you can get. It goes on your top tube, and because it's easy to get to while you're riding. Not as easy as like reaching back to your jersey. And then two water bottles on your bike. If you're going for a really long ride, I recommend a hydration pack. And you can put extra nutrition in there and just kind of reload your little top tube bag as you go. That's my recommendation. If that helps.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jillian?
I just want to make a comment. I mean, we're talking about going on a ride, what you do the night before, all the equipment and all that stuff. Never try anything new on a big event day. If you're gonna go for a BBQ or anything else, try that stuff in a trial event, on a trial ride. Just make sure that you're comfortable with what you're going to be carrying, what you're going to be using.
Mature, it's kind of hard to hear you. I don't know if everyone else
He
can.
said, don't ever try something new on the day of an event. I'm type 2, and I find that on longer rides, my blood sugar goes up, not down. And I don't know, I keep like jerky or nuts in my jersey pocket. And kind of in response to what this other guy says, I mean, just to give you an idea, last year I rode over 4,100 miles. So I do this a lot. I take maybe a hydration packet in my jersey pocket. I take nuts or like a meat snack of some type in my jersey pocket. All my tools are in my seat bag, and that way they're always there. And if you don't know, like you said, if you don't know how to change a flat, learn. It's not hard, but I had to change a flat on a 20 degree ride. So you move fast. But so I don't do anything. I like Lori said, I like some slow acting carbs, maybe some brown rice or something like that, or quinoa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so just my 2 cents.
Yeah, just make sure you practice with it.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. All right, last Last chance for questions for Jillian. Okay, all right. Well, I'm going to take this time now to introduce our president of our ELC, which is our Executive Leadership Committee, Bill Nedza. And one thing I forgot to mention earlier, which many of you know because I know you've already registered, but our Tour de Cure is on September 26, 2021. So save the date if you haven't already, and then a little bit later we'll go through how to register, but I meant to say it earlier and I forgot. So Bill, take the floor and tell us about your tips and tricks with Tour as a Tour veteran.
Well, first of all, I'm starving now since everyone keeps talking about all this different food. And but yeah, one of the first things I want to say is I think you guys are recording this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that because I think, I mean, just things that have been said already are, I mean, we can learn so much from each other. And just, you know, some of the things that Jillian said, I mean, it took me years and years and years to learn. And it was kind of learning it by default, or by accident almost. And I think with all the people that we're going to have involved with Tour, that if we're able to share all of these things with them, it's going to be so much better. Because one thing I know, I mean, any athletic event, but I think cycling, it can be very intimidating because there's so much that can go into it. And I think, you know, all this stuff and the reasons why people, you know, be maybe hesitant to do things, if we can overcome, you know, help them overcome that hesitancy, it's going to be great. And so, I mean, it's great. Even like the like nutrition and things like that, which I was diagnosed like 3 years ago with type 2, and I'm still learning stuff. But I'm very, very, very fortunate, having been involved in this for like 18 years, where I know where to go, and it's just so important to have that. And that's why, I mean, that's why I volunteer every year though, because it's just, there's so many people with diabetes, and it's so difficult to handle everything. So that being said, talking about like my tips, and I've been doing this, like I said, I think this is my 18th or 19th year. I don't remember. I've lost track by now. But one of the things is in terms of fundraising, and you know, the event is one thing, but the reason we do it is, you know, there's whatever 35 million people with diabetes. It's you know, we're going through a pandemic. We also have an epidemic on our hands. And so, you know, one of the biggest things that we can do is just get out there and into the communities and get as many people involved as we can. So, but the fundraising part of it, I mean, to me is, you know, that's the most important thing. I mean, if we don't do that, the ADA doesn't exist. I mean, you know, nonprofit industries and nonprofit organizations need funds to operate. So that's, you know, that's our biggest goal. And I tell people, I'm like, you know, first thing you want to, you know, and share this with as many people as you can. And that's why I'm glad that we're doing this recording, because we can share it. And so if you have people that, like, if they have questions about bikes and things like that and nutrition and all that, Jillian's a great resource. If they want to know about fundraising and things like that, I'm open all the time. You know, through the ADA, they can, you know, everyone knows how to get a hold of me. But I tell people, I'm like, the first thing you want to do is, you know, set a realistic goal, set a realistic fundraising goal, and whatever dollar amount that is, just take it and then add $5,000 to it. Because to me, when I started it, I know it's crazy, but when I started, it's like, I'm going to raise $500, you know, and then you're like, oh, I want to be a champion. What does it take? Oh, you have to raise $1,000. So I did that. And then one thing led to another, and you just, you know, and especially over years, you learn how to be a better fundraiser. And, you know, by now it's like, you know, if I don't like next month or the month after that, if I don't start sending out my emails to people start emailing me and going, hey, where's your fundraising email? I want that. I look for it every year. So they know. And one of the things we've talked about a lot is that not just this year, but like next year and 2 years from now and 3 years from now. So, I mean, I've built up a lot of people that, you know, every year I know that they're going to donate to me. So one of the things is, you know, I'm like, yeah, you know, what's my goal this year? I'm going to make it $7,500. Am I going to get there? I have no idea. But if I set it as 1,000, I mean, I'm, you know, why? So, you know, have a realistic goal, but really if you want to, you know, kind of shoot for the stars. The other thing that I think everybody that's really important is as soon as you register, then you set up your own webpage. And to me, that's because that's the first thing people are going to go to. You're going to contact them. It's like, yeah, you know, go to my webpage to make a donation. Well, if you just use the template that's in there and you use the stock photo and things like that, people are going to be like, oh man, whatever. They're not going to be excited, you know? So it's like, what I do is, and mine isn't set up totally yet, but I got involved because of my dad. So I always use a picture of my dad. My team's name is Team Joe Nedza, so it's on there. But I also put little things in there about myself, why I do it, why I do the fundraising. You know, like I said, I use a photo. I use different font sizes. I use different font colors. You know, make it where somebody wants to read it. Because if it's kind of boring, people are going to like, oh yeah, whatever, and they're going to donate. They're going to give you $10. You know, but if it's really exciting, Corda, they're like, oh, these people have put some, you know, they put time into it. They're gonna be like, you know what? They're putting time into it. I'm gonna put in money. You know, so it's like make your webpage really nice. If you're a team captain, make that really good too. You know, talk about your team and talk about why your teammates are joining you. So like my teammates, it's great. And they're all like, yeah, we do it because of Bill and his dad and stuff like that. So I think it's really important to have a great webpage. The other thing is when you register, you know, everybody knows you can go in and you can do everything through the ADA website, through your, you know, your center, you know, your user center or whatever it's called. So you can send emails through there. They're short, they're really nice. I mean, they're great templates. But what I tell people is like, do that, you know, and you can download information in there. So people's names, people email addresses. So I always do it because I also track who donates to me. And then I also make sure that when they donate to me, that through Convio, I check and I go, okay, they donated. I make sure that I send them a thank you. And I try and send them a thank you right away. Not after Tour de Cure is done and stuff like that. But as soon as I get a donation, I thank people right away. I'm like, thank you so much. I say keep those emails really short because I think the most important thing, at least for me, was sending out a personal email. So it started kind of slowly. You know, I got my Rolodex or whatever, my Outlook, you know, the people I have in Outlook, and I send mass emails out. I always make sure that I, you know, do a blind carbon copy because I don't want to send out everybody's email address. So the first thing I do, and it's every year, it's like, once again, I have chosen to raise funds and awareness for Tour de Cure Chicagoland 2020. And then I tell them, you know, yes, I did, you know, blind carbon copy because I wanted to, you know, respect people. So they know that, yes, this isn't mass email. So I do that. But I used to make a point of saying, hey, listen, you know, I know that we're always inundated by people asking for money. And we are. I mean, it's true. But then I say, you know what? I'm not only trying to raise funds, I'm trying to raise awareness. And I do. And I mean, funds are really important, but so is awareness. Now, raising awareness is one thing, but it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm here to raise funds. You know, so, and I tell them, you know, and I tell them that. And then I tell them why I've been involved, you know, and it changes every year. People that I email it to now, they know why I'm involved. They're like, yeah, we know, your dad. It's been 18 years ago you started. We know. So I tell them, I'm like, you know, if you want to skip everything, go down to the bottom and donate. Otherwise, you know, read on. And then I'll put things in there. I use pictures in my email. You know, one of the things there's so many kids I know that have diabetes. And I would ask the parents, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I use a picture of Tyler in my fundraising email? They're like, no, absolutely. And then there's another kid. I call him Paulie Baseball because I saw a picture of him and he was sitting on the bench at a baseball game in his uniform and he was testing his blood sugar. And it just, I mean, it's like, oh my God, a kid, you know, here's a kid 6 years old. So I asked his mom and dad, I go, hey, do you mind if I use Paul's picture, you know, in my fundraising email? They're like, of course. So, I mean, I hate to like, you know, use kids for fundraising reasons, but it works. So, I mean, well, and the parents, again, I asked the parents, is this okay to do? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. And then I talk about other reasons why, you know, I'm raising funds, and given the reasons, it's like there's diabetes, but also, you know, what are the funds going to be raised for? Camp, you know, tell them, yeah, you know, there's diabetes camp. Kids go to that. And that's a picture I put in almost every year, kids at diabetes camp. Because people have no idea. They know, oh yeah, you're raising funds, you know, but where does it go? What do you use it for? Research, you know, so Dr. Phillipson, I'm like, hey, do you mind if I use your picture in my fundraising email? He's like, absolutely, go ahead. You know, and I tell him, I'm like, here's a research at University of Chicago that was behind, you know, the discovery of monogenetic diabetes, you know, and talk to people and tell them about this, you know, so research, and then, you know, education. And I always say, you know what, if it wasn't for the ADA, I wouldn't know 2% of what I know about diabetes. Because I know that, you know, like when I was diagnosed, obviously I knew a lot right away. But if I hadn't known a lot right away, if I was diagnosed, what do? Well, you go to the ADA. That's the place. And that's another thing. I mean, so it's like their education, things like that. And then the last thing is advocacy. And I tell people it's advocacy, especially now. And I don't think that we should be shy at all about talking about advocacy, going, hey, you know what? 10 years ago, you know, pre-existing conditions weren't covered in healthcare, you know, and so now they are. However, you know, if they're trying to do away with that, you know, other advocacy, you know, the cost of insulin, things like that. You know, this is another reason why we're raising funds so that we can have advocates out there, you know, going to Washington and going for call to Congress and things like that. So it's like, put those in the emails to people and tell them, these are all the things that we're doing, you know, and this is why, you know, and make it so they're like, oh, I didn't know all this, you know. And the other thing, put in there about facts. There's still some people that they have no idea what diabetes is, which floors me. You know, they're like, oh, you know, type 1, type 2, what's the difference? I'm like, oh my God. Well, you know, tell them, you know, this is what the difference is. And this is, you know, these are the statistics. And I can guarantee, and everybody knows somebody with diabetes. There's absolutely no doubt. So it's like the more people that you reach, the more people that you're going to reach that either are diabetic or have, you know, people with diabetes in their family. So that's another thing. Like I said, just make it very personal. And nowadays you can use, you know, put in real short videos. So I still have a link to a video that I did back in 2014, but it was such a good video. I'm like, this is, you know, I use it because people get interested in things. I also put in a link to the video of several years ago, Carlos and I singing at Tour de Cure together, band, you know, and people are like, oh my God, who are these idiots? Well, those idiots had a lot of views and people are like, oh my God. And if they get excited about stuff, they're like, you know, it's almost like they're like, oh, I feel like I have to give to this, you know? And I've done I've done challenges. You know, this year, I don't know what kind of challenges I'm going to do. I used to, like when we did Bike the Drive, I did a time, you know, I would do a time trial, you know, and then but this year, well, we were going to have it where it's like, if you donate, you know, to me so much money, Carlos and I will sing with the band. And then someone
paid us not to.
You know, and then someone said, well, you know, how about if we donate if you don't sing? So like, I don't care. If you donate, you know, I'll do anything. And so there was somebody one year that said, actually the first year we sang, I had told someone, I'm like, yeah, if your team raises $15,000, I'll sing with the band. And the day before Tour de Cure, he hit $15,000. So I went and I sang with the band. However, I didn't necessarily lie, but I had already talked to the band and said, hey, listen, there's a good chance I'm going to ask you to sing with you guys because I think I can get this guy to raise $15,000. So they did it. But anything that works, I say use it. And the last thing nowadays, I hear there's something called Twitter, you know, and Facebook and all this social media stuff, I guess. Use it. I tell people, I'm like, put it out to everybody. You know, I try and send out like one really nice email every month. I'll post something on Facebook every 10 days or so, just to put it out there, just to kind of, a little bit reminder and just use it. I also put stuff on LinkedIn, and somebody said, oh yeah, LinkedIn, it's a business website. You shouldn't put on anything but business. And I just tell people, I'm like, diabetes is business, because diabetes affects business owners, diabetes affects employees. I mean, so to me, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this is what I do. It's a cause I'm involved in. I'm a business owner, and so, yeah, this is one of the things I do. I'm philanthropic, I just want people to know. So the more people that you tell, the only thing I don't use Instagram because I don't know how yet. And I refuse to use Twitter out of principle. But everything else, I think you should just use. So, I always tell people, I'm like, if you want to have anything that's huge, you want to have a huge event, talk to more people. So if you go, hey, I've had people say, I really don't know that many people. I don't know how many people to ask. Like, that's okay, because you do this. Like I say to my nieces and nephews, I'm like, hey, you know what? I know, say, it's like, hey, I know you don't have a lot of money, but do me a favor. Could you just share this on Facebook, or could you share it with anybody? And then the next thing you know, and I didn't, one time a few years ago, all of a sudden I got a $500 donation. And I was like, I wasn't even sure who it was, but I realized that it was somebody who did a documentary. It was Journey to a Miracle, and it was about monogenetic diabetes. And all I did, because I really believed in their documentary, I shared it with a lot of people and gave them a lot of press, and it was great. And they donated $500 to me. I was floored, and I'm like, this is, so this is the way it happens. You get out there, you tell more people about it, tell them the reasons, give them the reasons, and make them want to, help you, because that's what we need. And, and a lot of people are like, well, I have a hard time fundraising. It's like, I know, it's okay. But you know what? If you want a little help, and this is what I tell people, if you want a little help, ask us. I can make it easy. My sister is part of my team, and every year she goes, all right, send me your email because I'm using it. Because she uses it. She uses my exact email and just changes it. She even, obviously we have the same dad, so she doesn't even change that. She's like, well, my dad, but everything else. And then she switches out. She uses a couple different pictures, and then she uses her links. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe you used my email. She's like, well, you said I could. I'm like, of course I did. And every year she's a champion. So that's all my ideas. And like I said, the last thing I'll say is, if anybody at all ever needs help, through Amanda and Dan and Kayla, ask them and go, hey, I need help doing something, and we'll do it. And that's why I said, one of the things I'm really excited about, the whole thing where we're going, all right, you get Jillian involved, you get all of these different people involved. And again, it's a community, it's like, get endocrinologists involved, get certified diabetes educators involved, everybody, it's just outreach. And the more people, it's like trying to be president, I guess. It's like, the more people that you can reach, the better the odds are that we're going to do what we want to do. So, and me, I just want to raise more funds this year than any year. So that's my 3 cents.
Thank you, Bill. All right. Any questions for Bill to close out the his tips and tricks?
Bill, will you send me your email?
That's a great tip.
Yeah, and you could actually even say that you're my sister. Well, yeah, and actually, and you can get Amanda can give.
We'll connect you guys. Yeah.
To anybody, it's easy.
Yeah,
it's
mine are used by other people too, but I can always use more ideas.
Absolutely, no, I'd love to. I love sharing ideas.
Just a comment, Bill. I really enjoyed everything you said, and I actually took notes. But I didn't know that this was being recorded, and so I just wanted to let you know that I take back everything I said about you before you logged on.
Oh man, that's it. You're not going to sing backup for me ever again.
I love it.
Oh my. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns for Bill? All right. Well, Kayla, I'm going to kick it to you to close out kind of some of what we're expecting for Tour 2021. I kind of alluded to it earlier, and I know some of you may know this already just due to previous conversations, but some of the updates we're going to be doing for 2021 based on some of the feedback we heard from 2020's tour. And again, like I mentioned, now that we've had more time to think about it and plan, we've added some updates to the virtual event that we're super excited about. So Kayla?
Yes. All right. Thank you, Bill and Amanda and Jillian. You all are wonderful. And like I said, if you would like to chat with any of us, please let us know and we can set up some time to chat offline for sure. So let's get into the additions. All right. So for virtual tour, we have a couple of new additions, just being virtual, right, and not being in person. First is our text and marketing participation. So we'll have a new text marketing campaign where you can opt in when you register, and our hope is that it'll boost open rates, engagements, and awareness for tour updates. So stay tuned for that. We have a meeting in a few weeks to get that going, so definitely stay tuned for that. And then we'll also have a streaming service. So we'll be launching a new streaming site for tour. This way everyone can join our live streams even if you don't have Facebook. So this is a new platform that gives us the ability to highlight speakers, team captains, champions, and sponsors. And in addition, there will be a chat function and a poll similar to Zoom. So we'll have that, and it's just another way to like boost engagement and interactions with participants, volunteers, and our sponsors as well. And then so far as our app too, we have made some updates